Could the Cold War have been avoided? This question has intrigued historians, political scientists, and curious minds for decades. To unravel this complex question, we must first understand the origins of the Cold War and the circumstances surrounding its inception. Let us journey back to the end of the Second World War, a time of both relief and tension as the world stood on the brink of a new conflict, ideological rather than military. The Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, emerged in the aftermath of World War II. The ideological divide between capitalist democracy and communist totalitarianism set the stage for a prolonged standoff. As the victorious Allies began to carve up post-war Europe, the seeds of distrust had already taken root. The Yalta and Potsdam conferences in 1945 were meant to establish a peace settlement, yet they also sowed discord. The Western Allies and the Soviet Union had divergent visions for the globe, one favoring free market democracies, the other promoting socialist states loyal to the Kremlin. Could these tensions have been alleviated? Some argue that different diplomatic strategies might have averted the Cold War. For instance, if Western leaders had engaged more earnestly with Soviet security concerns, perhaps through a more inclusive approach to the division of Europe, or by offering more substantial security guarantees, a bridge could have been forged. However, others contend that the ideological rift was too great, with both superpowers suspicious of each other's intentions, making genuine cooperation nearly impossible. Economically, the Marshall Plan played a pivotal role. This US-led initiative aimed to rebuild war-torn Europe through economic aid. While it was crucial in reviving European economies, it also deepened the divide, as the Soviet Union saw it as an American ploy to spread capitalism and weaken Soviet influence. Could an alternative plan, one perceived as less threatening and more neutral, have altered the course of history? Perhaps. A scheme that included the Soviet Union might have reduced tensions and built a sense of partnership rather than rivalry. Moreover, the Berlin blockade of 1948 to 1949 marked a significant escalation in Cold War hostilities. The blockade was a Soviet attempt to exert control over the whole of Berlin and challenge Western authority. The Western Allies responded with the Berlin airlift, supplying the city by air. This defiant act became a symbol of resistance, but also solidified the East-West divide. If both sides had approached the Berlin issue with more willingness to negotiate, could the physical and ideological divide have been lessened? A less confrontational resolution might have set a precedent for future conflicts, fostering a landscape of compromise rather than division. The leadership styles and decisions of key figures such as Stalin, Truman, and Churchill were instrumental in shaping the early Cold War dynamics. Could diplomacy have softened their hardline stances? It's conceivable that more open dialogue and interpersonal diplomacy could have mitigated these leaders' fears and ambitions, decreasing the likelihood of a prolonged standoff. Despite these possibilities, it's crucial to acknowledge the fundamental ideological differences. The question of whether the Cold War was inevitable often returns to the core incompatibility between communism and capitalism, two systems with inherently opposing principles. The power vacuum left by a decimated Europe meant that the US and the Soviet Union were inevitably poised as global leaders, and each sought to expand its influence. This drive, fueled by mutual suspicion and an arms race, left little room for peaceful coexistence. In conclusion, while there were numerous opportunities where the Cold War might have been mitigated or even avoided through diplomacy, economic cooperation, or different leadership, the ideological chasm was profound. The Cold War, with its intricate tapestry of historical, cultural, and political influences, seems, in many respects, to have been an inevitable outcome of the post-World War II world order. However, reflecting on these moments provides valuable lessons in international relations, a reminder of the importance of dialogue, understanding, and the willingness to bridge divides. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of whether the Cold War could have been avoided. If you found our discussion intriguing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content.